first story. The second story is a literal story that happened in the 15th century, okay, in France during the Great Protestant Reformation. And this story is about a person from a noble family, all right, a very rich family, a family that is very well known to the king of that time in France. And this happened in the 15th century. And the name of that person is Berquin, all right? Now, before I share this story, I would like to tell you something something that would really bring you into this story, all right? Now, we are living in a time of so much peace and happiness. There is so much of religious freedom, okay? Although we are living in India, and though there are a lot of troubles in and around the country, we still have this place of worship. But during the time of the Reformation, in Europe, things were not the same, all right? You were forced to worship just as how the Catholic Church would ask you to worship. And Berquin also was a Catholic, and he also worshipped just as how he was asked to be worshipped, worship God, right? And as life was going on, just like Luther, the Lord brought Berquin to a Bible. So when he read the Bible, he understood that what the Catholic Church was teaching and the worship system that they had was not according to the Bible. And that man can be forgiven by God alone, and that another man is not able to forgive another sinner. So when he came to know this, Berquin started realizing that he had to make a decision. If he is going to continue following hypocrisy, or if he is going to continue following the Bible, allowing the Holy Spirit to lead him. So finally, Berquin decided that he is going to stand for the truth, all right? His intention was not to stand against the truth, against the enemies of truth. His intention was to stand for the truth. But the problem is, when somebody stands for the truth, inevitably, he becomes a person standing against the enemies of truth. And because of that, we see in the life of Berquin that the entire Catholic Church was against him, and they wanted to kill him, all right? And as he was preaching and teaching the truth, the words started spreading that Berquin can become the next Luther, Martin Luther, all right? And Berquin continued preaching, continued teaching, and the Catholic Church tried to kill him. They arrested him, put him in the prison. But when they tried to kill him, the king released Berquin a couple of times. And finally, there was one incident that sparked a great trouble in France. And what happened was somebody, it was not Berquin, definitely not. There was someone who took an image of Mary, all right? They call her Virgin Mary. They took the image and they destroyed that image. And because of that, since Mary was and still is held very sacred, because of that, there was a big uproar in France. And what the Catholic Church did was they put the blame on Berquin. They said, it is because of him, because he is teaching against the Catholic Church. Because of that, this terrible thing has happened. And when that happened, somehow the king was not able to protect Berquin. And Berquin was immediately arrested, and they decided that they will kill him the same day, because they thought if they're going to delay, he might again escape from the prison. So Berquin was appointed to be killed on that day, on an afternoon, all right? And what happened that day was something that's very significant, and I would like to read that for you, okay? So as I'm reading this, please listen to this, all right? These are wonderful, life-inspiring stories. At noon, Berquin was conducted to the place of death. An immense throng gathered to witness the event. And there were many who saw with astonishment and misgiving that the victim had been chosen from the best and bravest of the noble families of France. So, if suppose they just took some ordinary man, some servant or a slave or some ordinary poor person, and if they were going to kill, that would not bring any astonishment, right? But this man was from the highest possible family, all right? A family that is known to the king itself. From that family, a person is going to be killed, that too publicly as a criminal. And that was like a great astonishment to them. Amazement, indignation, scorn, and bitter hatred darkened the faces of that surging crowd. Everybody's filled with indignation, all right? But upon one face, upon Berquin's face, no shadow rested. So this is very important. No shadow rested on his face. He's going to be killed, and in his face, there is no shadow. Okay? The martyr's thoughts were far from the scene of tumult. He was conscious only of the presence of his Lord. The wretched tumbril upon which he rode, the frowning faces of his persecutors, the dreadful death to which he was going, these he heeded not. He who liveth and was dead and is alive forevermore, and hath the keys of death and of hell, was beside him. So in the face of Berquin, there was no fear at all. As I'm reading this, you're going to understand a great mystery. In fact, when I was reading this, a lot of things are slowly coming to light. Because during the Protestant Reformation, there were thousands and thousands of people who were killed for Christ. And whenever I've read the book, The Great Controversy, I've always thought, how were they able to die? You know, some were willing to just march to their graves, and when some were burnt, they were singing songs. How were they able to do that? And the answer is right here. As they were doing, who was with them? When Daniel's friends were thrown into the fiery furnace, who was there with them? The Lord himself was with them, just like how the Lord was with these people. All right? And he had attired himself in goodly raiment. So Berquin did not dress himself as if, he was mourning. He dressed as if he was going to a wedding feast. All right? His raiment was good, wearing a cloak of velvet, a doublet of satin and damask, and golden hose. So he was dressed as if he was going to the greatest event of his life. Probably he had never dressed so well before that. As the procession moved slowly through the crowded streets, the people marked with wonder the unclouded peace and joyous triumph of his look and bearing. He is, they said, like one who sits in a temple and meditates on holy things. I don't even think any of our faces are so bright today, even though we are sitting in the church. But when Berquin was taken to that place of his death, his face was shining far more brighter than our faces here who are sitting in the church. Can you imagine how it must have been? What a testimony that would have been to France. At the stake, Berquin endeavored to address a few words to the people. So just when he was about to die, Berquin wanted to speak to the people who had gathered there, because he knows many among them are going to stand like him and even be killed like him. So he wanted to speak a few words of encouragement and hope to them. But what happened? Do you know? But the monks, that is the Catholic people there, fearing the result, began to shout, and the soldiers to clash their arms, and their clamor drowned the martyr's voice. So they did not even give him one chance of speaking just before he died. That is the kind of world we live in. Okay? You cannot expect the world to be fair to you. And without murmur, Berquin laid his life for Christ about 600 years back. And after 600 years today, in a little village in India, we are talking about him. Do you think his death has been in vain? Absolutely not. He is still alive in a spiritual sense.